Good morning. So my name is Beladjine Boumediene from the University of Science Technology of Oran in Algeria. I am as well a member of the WestMed group dealing with green shipping in the Mediterranean and the partner in the Power for Med project. So now I choose the title because of the, to adapt to the session, is the challenge of adapting maritime strategy to climate change and adequation with regulation. So here we will be dealing, because IMO is coming up with a lot of regulation, and then see what is the impact mainly on the shipping side. Now, as you can see, so the start of everything is the United Nations Sustainable Goals Development, the GDS. And then here I'm focusing on the shipping side, the reefs, and so on, the port, the ship emissions, and the desalination unit. And then just to schematize, to give an idea about this, and then see the impact, the psychological impact on the audience. So I'm pleased to present a video which is the courtesy of SDG format, Mario Dogliani and Susan Khalif as well. Okay, so I will start the video now.
Hey, it's me. I have a problem. Well, actually, you have a problem too. Let me explain. Hundreds of thousands of ships every year. 13% of the global maritime traffic. 60,000 fishing boats. Yeah, 650 million inhabitants by 2050. I'm the Mediterranean. And I'm suffering. I'm not talking about business here. I'm talking about life. Your life. Do you realize how vital I am for you and your family? Just think about it. I mean, food, weather, holidays, goods, jobs, wealth, energy, communication, transport, biodiversity. Oh, let's face it. I'm dying. No excuses. You can do something. Every one of you, every day. Will you save me? You should. You can. You have to do this.
So, thank you. So that was this test, just to see how, the psychological impact can be, how strong it can be through a simple video. Okay, now we carry on. So, as I said, regarding shipping, everything is set. The tools are there. The IMO already set up the strategies and everything. Now, the question is, how we are going to implement these strategies. You are talking about alternative fuels. Are we ready in terms of having the resource needed to adapt all our ship to switch to bio-LNG, to switch to e-methanol, to switch to hydrogen? Are there enough bunkering stations in the Mediterranean, and so on? These are the questions. The rules, the regulation is there. It's no problem. Now, how to proceed? That's the issue. Okay, that's why the IMO set up milestones to 2030, 2040, and then they are talking about phasing out all the shipping, all the greenhouse gas emission carbon neutrality by 2050. And that a lot of job has to be done. Another issue, Europe did come up with the rules. The European Green Deal, the Fit 55, the EU fuel regulation. So, you know, the tools are there. Now, see how realistic they are, how we have to be pragmatic, how they can be implemented in the context of geopolitics which are going on now. People are talking about going back to the coal, going back to the nuclear station again, and then so on. So this, we have to take into consideration the geopolitical evolution and they are realistic goals. So we have to adapt every time. Another, that's the latest Marine Environment Protection Committee, okay, which ended in the 4th of October, last week. So he making sure, putting the target for 2030 to reduce CO2 emission transport work by at least 40%. That's the first milestone. 2040 to reduce total annual greenhouse gas emission by at least 70%, and then striving for 80%. And 2050 to reach this neutral carbon intensity by 2050. So this is the scenario, is there. So we have to work through this scenario, despite all the events. Now, when it comes to talking about the impact of this, we have three levels of control, which is the mitigation, resilience, and adaptation. Mitigation is the reduction of or prevention or attenuation of greenhouse gases emission responsible for climate change. We know that. The resilience is, do we have the ability of a particular system, community, or sector to confront, resist, and recover from the impacts of climate change? How can we be resilient? And the third one, adaptation. It has to happen. You know, flood happen, sea rising. These are facts. So we have to adapt to new situation every time. So the mutual purpose, all these three strategies, talking about mitigation, resilience, and so on, are designed to reduce vulnerability to the impacts of climate change. Complementarity, all three approaches interconnected. For instance, the more efficient mitigation is, the less need there is for adaptation, and the long-term action, all three involves long-term policies to ensure that human and natural systems are better prepared to face climate change. And then, because this climate change issue is a family business, my son is working at the University of Cadiz, so here I come up with the questionnaire, which is a sample which can be generalized all over Mediterranean Sea. So what is the perception? How much of threat is climate change? As you can see, 41% and 28%, they're already of the population, because they are looking at the news every now and then, so they are really aware. So talking about people to be aware of this threat of climate change, I think that there is no problem. Everyone is talking about a summer lasting all the time, a hot Mediterranean, and so on. So there is no problem on that side. Now, the main drivers for environmental change. As you can see, it is connected. Land and sea warming, land and sea use change, increased air, water, land pollution, that which is not an action of the climate, invasive species as well, the summer general decrease, and the sea level rise. So these are the 5 topics upon which we are going around. And then the risk and impact of environmental changes in the Mediterranean basin, they are classified into, we have the climate-related drivers. We all know, we can't control. And then you have non-climate-related drivers. That's where we can control. That's the human action, okay? Through pollution, through a lot of. So all the systems have impact on health, ecosystems, water, food, coast. That's why I brought this issue of desalination in the Mediterranean, which is, you know, because of the consequence of the rain fall, which is not, which is decreasing. So that's why all the countries are going through desalination plan to respond. So that's an issue. So we have to think about the circularity of the process, just to absorb the brine and so on. So there is so many topics we can go through. Now, there is one, I brought this, this photo just to see the discrepancy between people concerned by the Mediterranean. On the top, you have a modern ocean-going fishing vessel, which is complying because it is classified. If it's classified, it's complying to the rules. It has access to technology. But when I said there is 60,000 fishing boats, 80% they are at the bottom. These are the reality. And these people and this community don't have access to technology, don't have access to finance, and they are the ones suffering. Okay, so we should focus on how we simplify this access to knowledge, access to technology to them. That's really a response which must be given to this community, because that represents, these have consequences on a lot of family and a lot of population. And I thank you.